elusiveness of what woke means, I'm a fairly intelligent man. I still don't understand what it means.
Walter Masterson and Distill Social are going to shatter this MAGA man's worldview without him realizing it.
Woke means that you recognize a systemic injustice. You critically examine an institution for bias.
Yes.
You say like, okay, this
and
is...
if there's proof,
yeah,
action should be made.
After watching so many hours of Trump supporter interviews, we can't tell you how refreshing it is to see one appearing to act in good faith when challenged on their views. This next position is fundamental in understanding where these people go wrong.
Yeah, no, you did it.
I've been in business 35 years. I shouldn't know the sexual preference of anybody in my business. So if somebody's fired because they were profiled or racistly charged against, how did it happen?
Have you ever talked about your wife at work?
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's now people know you're straight.
Okay, but now you put that together with they were not given a promotion or a raise, now you would have something.
You would indeed. Though this is just one person, and his charitability is an exception to what we've seen from the MAGA movement. He does show that they can understand the concepts and reasoning behind some of the issues we advocate for.
People call that woke if you're talking about all this systemic abuse like redlining and, this lynching, and racists worked in conjunction with the state.
But they did.
Yeah, but I'm saying a lot of people they want to take that out of the history lessons.
I think that's foolish. 1963, Kennedy tried to let a black girl go to a college who had a Republican mayor, a Republican governor, and a Republican head of the U.S. Marshal standing with M16s to stop little girls to go into a building. Why should we forget that? That's how far off we went.
I hate to say it, but he's right. We should never forget even the darkest parts of our country's history, but the problem lies in the politicians that these people vote for and the special interest groups said officials serve, wanting to erase parts of our history so they can distance themselves from the similarities between their current policies and ideology and the political views of the past.
Gender was a word invented in academia to refer to how we express sexuality.
Are you saying that it's a construct?
It is a construct, exactly.
Yeah, you're wrong, liberals.
Well, and I get very aggravated because I notice the folks who push CRT do not seem to take the time to teach about Frederick Douglass, who was a great black founding father. They have erased the work of early black people in this country, Frederick Douglass, Harriet Tubman. Many of these things, we're not taught about them and their full capacity.
Right, so what we need to do is we need to get rid of this CRT nonsense and start teaching more about what Harriet Tubman, Frederick Douglass, John Brown, the person who stole the Confederate ship, W.E.B. Du Bois, Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Farrakhan. The list goes on.
The same exact phenomenon is shown in this interview as the first one. This woman at least appears to understand the importance and necessity of teaching children black history, yet still holds a hostile attitude towards the concept of critical race theory because she's fallen victim to the right-wing propaganda campaign and demonization of CRT and, by extension, black history as a whole. It's laughable to think that someone truly invested in teaching black history would gloss over figures like Frederick Douglass and Harriet Tubman, but belief always trumps logic, no pun intended, when you're dealing with folks like this. And hey, just a quick break in the action. You should go subscribe to my new show, The Rick Strom Show. I'm going to be interviewing people from sports, music, journalists, authors, sports doctors. It's going to be fantastic. Please go subscribe. Thank you.
So in order to get rid of communism, we need to get rid of the big banks.
Yeah.
Get rid of big pharma.
Right.
What else?
Big tech.
Big tech.
Right. And it's like
like these landlords that are coming in and buying hundreds of properties. You don't even know what corporation.
Like China is doing it, and Bill Gates.
Zillow.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people here are very fed up and they're ready to collectivize and sort of seize the means of production.
Right. Funny, I work for actually not this year, the other show I had an earlier for a company not too far from here called Liberty Pump, non-union. They let the owners of the company sold a third of the company to the employees. So the employees have ownership of it, which is a lot better.
Oh, yeah. And they're collectivizing. Right.
It's
cooperative.
It's an ESOP.
Yeah, the workers own the means of production.
Their families work there, their dad, the sons work there, and that's typically where America started. A lot of families did that.
Just like our nation's billionaires and multinational corporations, everyone loves socialism and communism when it's called government contracts or tax incentives or worker ownership, and it directly benefits them. First off, shout out to Walter Masterson, as always, for doing the work on the ground, to take the pulse of the MAGA base. And secondly, what all these interactions showed us is that effectively marketing your political positions is much more important than the content of the positions themselves. So we shouldn't be all that surprised that seemingly well-meaning people get swept up into dangerous communities like the MAGA movement, because this is the type of slop they consume on a regular basis.
After he chugs the beer. How you doing, Hulk?
Man, I cannot believe you pulled me out of the party, brother. We got Hogan's Hangout, first night of karaoke. We're drinking real American beer made by real Americans. We got a real American president, brother, and we're already celebrating the inauguration even before it happens because we know we're getting our country back, brother. But the way it is now, we hit an all-time low, and all of a sudden, when Trump won the election, all of a sudden it was like this dark cloud got lifted off America. Everybody was happy, and all the wah, 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 all the whiners and criers that were out there, they were the ones that created the problem in the first place. America's back on track. We are definitely going to be greater than we've ever been. This is the greatest time to be alive, brother.
Sometimes you need to hit rock bottom to pick yourself back up and to reach new heights. Did the country hit rock bottom? Is that what we're experiencing right now?
All I got to say, brother, is I got my Trump pump back on, and I'm going to be riding dirty all the way to that inauguration. I cannot wait for him to be sworn in, brother. It's a new day. It's a new country, and we're going to make America great again because we got a real American president, brother. That's the show.
Trotting out Hulk Hogan, real name Terry Bollea, even after he was booed out of the arena during his cameo appearance at WWE's first Netflix event, should not only be seen as an insult to the intelligence of the Fox audience, but also an implicit endorsement of his character. In that same vein, Fox also decided to launder the image of another washed-up, pathetic racist who belongs nowhere near the spotlight.
I know they were messing with the water, letting reserves go for one reason or another. They've been doing that a while. California has a lot of problems that sort of baffle the mind as far as why they do things. And then in the events like this, you sort of look, well, is it on purpose? Which it's an insane thing to think. But one begins to ponder whether or not there is a purpose in mind. What could it be, you know? I don't know. Do they want the state empty? I don't know.
Well, Mel, there's already talk, and we played a couple of sound bites of reimagining the way rebuilding occurs. And obviously there's a great need for high-density housing in California and across the country. That's a big push by the climate folks. And you're already hearing rumblings of that. In this case, like goodbye single-family homes, hello high-density housing.
Reminds me of the old cattle barons clearing people off the land, you know. But I don't know. I can make all kinds of horrible theories up in my head, conspiracy theories and everything else. But it just seemed a little convenient that there was no water, and and that the wind conditions were right, and that there are people ready and willing and able to start fires. And are they commissioned to do so, or are they just acting on their own volition? I don't know. But they seem pretty well equipped, some of these people that they're catching.
A lot of questions. A lot of questions, Mel.
The media people consume plays a profound role in shaping how they see the world, and Fox News, more than anyone else, knows how to make their audience tick. If you can and are willing, please become a paid member here at TYT Sports, and or go to tyt.com/join. In addition, you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Appreciate it. Have a great day.